Good work today out on the grass with the guys. This is really pretty much the end of our true training camp. We'll push forward and still gets a lot of good work, but start moving slowly towards more preparation for Virginia. Love what these guys have done through the practices that we've had. Good teams continue to get better throughout the season. We got to continue to push here. I think it's 12 days until we kick off. Excited about that opportunity. At the same time, we got a lot of ground still to cover before we kick off here in a couple weeks. So I'll open it up for questions.
Eric? Josh, how important is this week, the week before the actual game week?
Good teams get better throughout the course of the season. We're still in the very beginning stages of the season. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of things that we got to continue to clean up. A lot of situational work still that we're going to implement and get into. Our guys got to be ready for those moments throughout the course of the season. And there's still a lot of sharpening before we get to kickoff. So it's critical that we handle it the right way and continue to grow.
Rob?
Coach, 3 weeks in, a couple scrimmages under your belt. Any pecking order at right tackle? Has that situation?
Nothing yet. That will continue to unfold here until we get up until kickoff. Anticipate still seeing multiple guys play, and that's true at the right tackle position, but true across the board.
Josh, you're still over a week away, but does it start really feeling like game week right now?
We finish up tonight with some things that we're intentional about getting some situational work tonight in our walkthrough. But after that, it'll start feeling a lot more like game week. Like I said, there's still a lot of good on good that we're going to do to continue to sharpen and grow before we get to kickoff. But absolutely, our players' consensus, you're on the end of training camp and kickoffs right around the corner.
To the back.
Coach Jackson Ross says that he's got the third best arm on the team, and he very specifically called you out, saying he's got a better arm than you because he's still in his prime.
Well, now we know that Jackson will lie. All right, okay. He may be fourth, but not third.
Ryan, just through the camp portion of practice, what's encouraged you most about this team?
I think their energy, their consistency of their work habits, and competitive nature out on the practice field. I think the camaraderie and connection that they have too, and the leadership's been really good, really strong throughout the course of training camp. I've said it before, but you get into the season, it's not going to be perfect for everybody, right? All the goals individually that you set, at the end of the day, everybody's got to sacrifice a little bit for the success of the team. Important that we continue to have that inside of our locker room and inside of our program.
Adam McBee. Josh, going into your first season, you sort of had to sell the players on the culture and your system. That didn't seem to be a challenge anymore. Do you think success changed that, or did just time change that?
Well, I think every situation, everything that you encounter continues to help build trust and understanding of who you are, what you're about, and what you want to be. There's always moments of growth in everything that you're doing at the same time. But the players have great trust in the culture that we want to have and what we've built. They understand the expectations on and off the field. We've developed stronger leadership. So I think all of those things play into, in year 3 being in a better situation than you were year 1 and in a lot of ways year 2 too.
Josh, how would you assess where your team is at health-wise as training camp comes to an end and these next couple of days off, I guess, with school starting? For the guys who have been a little banged up, how big is it for them to have a couple of days as you get into game week prep?
Yeah, for the guys that were nicked up, early in camp, we've gotten most of those guys back. There's still a couple of guys that, I think as we finish up today and tomorrow and we're back into practice mode the following day, we'll have back on the grass. We should be pretty close to being completely healthy by the time we kick off.
Brett?
Because of those guys nicked up in the secondary in particular, how close are you guys to figuring kind of that puzzle out? I know you're going to play a lot of guys, but how close are you feel comfortable getting that group together?
Well, the guys that we've gotten back that were out early in training camp, the last 3-4 days, those guys have continued to increase their loads. We've gotten a lot of work with those guys. Feel like, we have a pretty clear understanding who those guys are and how they'll play and compete. We will play a lot of guys on the back end, and so feel like we're in a good spot, and over the next 12 days should be ready to roll.
Paige and Sam.
How has Milton continued
Yeah, you put quarterbacks in tough situations, and in some situations during practice, you put them in the harder spots that they can be in. He's continued to grow in his understanding of football, 101, understanding, when can I hang in the pocket, when's it time to get rid of the football, and make sure that, in a certain situation, whether we're backed up or in field goal where you got 3, you're trying to get 7, understanding the timing and how to play smart football in those situations. He's continued to grow, love what he's done. The other quarterbacks in the room have continued to grow as we've put them into a lot of situations. I think that's one of the things that I've done as a head coach is try to create more situational awareness and actually get more reps in those situations. That's been a part of helping those guys, but all 125 in the locker room.
Coach Eckler said the other day that Drew McCoy is someone the younger guys look up to in terms of how he approaches practice, team meetings, always first one there, working really hard. How have you seen him kind of embrace that role here in this game?
Yeah, he's somebody that this offseason, a year ago when he got here, coming off of the injury that he had come off of, he was just trying to figure out how to play and operate and practice inside of what we do offensively. Since January, he's been on our leadership council. He's been very intentional in how he's grown. It's been fun to see him take those steps. He owns it. He likes being in that role. And he's got a really positive effect on everybody around him.
West and Patrick.
Josh, generally speaking, how well does a non-starter have, or how close does a non-starter have to be to a starter to get in that rotation where it becomes a deal where it's good to have them out there and not just the drop-off's not too much to kind of keep continuity going?
If we don't feel like you're going to play at a championship level, you're not going to be on the field. It's real easy. Coaches got to be able to trust you.
Where do you feel like you guys are at receiver coming out? You got the 4 veteran guys that you've seen, and some of those younger guys. How do you feel about that position?
Yeah, the 3 guys that have a bunch of time in our offense played really well. Done a great job being in sync with the quarterback. Dante Thornton's continued to really grow. Love what he's done. The 2 younger guys inside of our building, Chaz and Caleb, man, they've taken great strides, all off season. But, this training camp, they were a different player than they were in spring ball too in a positive way. So love what those guys are doing. That's on the offense side of the ball. It's also on special teams.
Mark and Rick.
Josh is a quarterback guy. Joe's got so much experience behind him. You have so much inexperience. If something happened to Joe, how ready do you feel like that Nico is?
Yeah, I think he's ready to play at a really high level. All young quarterbacks, it's different when you get out there and it's live bullets and you don't have a red jersey on, but feel really good about where he's at. Command of our offense, being a really sound decision maker, fundamentally being able to get himself in a good position to be consistently accurate with the ball. I like what he's done.
Just kind of following up on that question, there was a lot of conversation over the last 2 years about how Joe Millen prepared as the starter despite being the backup. What have you kind of seen from Nico, maybe not necessarily on the field, but off the field in terms of preparation and being that backup in that room?
Yeah, as a young man coming into a program, understanding the standards that we have here, but the demands of playing quarterback at this level, being able to start to grasp and understand what's going on from us up front, protections, defensive structure, being able to see and recognize, anticipate, and see post snap rotations from the back end. At the end of the day, controlling his job and having his eyes in the right spot. He's a dramatically different player than he was in spring ball. Love the steps that he took in the spring too. His football team's got a lot of trust in him.
Eric?
Nico told us back in spring that he wants to go out and compete, get better every day, but he also wants to be to Joe what Joe was to Hendon last year. What do you like about those 2 guys, their dynamic?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit different in the amount of time that Nico's spent here. But at the end of the day, for him, being very supportive, helping him on the sidelines, being able to talk about what happened on previous play, previous series, I think that's important. But Joe was such a great leader for us a year ago, long before anybody saw him step on the field. And his growth, how intentional he was in his work was a big part of why everybody believed he'd play at a really high level when he got his next chance. And for Nico this year, right now in the, back end of training camp, getting prepared for week 1 and throughout the course of the season, as it's true for every guy that's not the first guy out there, offense, defense, or special teams, man, it's about continued growth and putting yourself in a position to play at your highest level when you get your opportunity. So Nico's operated that way. He's been intentional in the way that he's worked. Joe being able to see things and communicate to Nico, never it being personal, you know what I mean? It's a really positive relationship that exists between those two, but all the guys inside that quarterback room. It's a really unique dynamic.
Adam?
Sometimes players don't enjoy this week as much as others because you're still not to game week. You still have a little ways to go. Do coaches enjoy the week before game week, or is it more anxious?
I think coaches have great urgency in correcting the things that aren't where they need to be yet, and there's a lot of those things. That's just the nature of this game, and trying to, be perfect in what you're doing, understanding that perfection in this game is not obtainable either. So, constant growth. There's great urgency. We got 12 days to get ready to go play our best football week 1.
We'll finish with Paige.
Only one.
Only one. The last one's a funny one, I hope. So first, the Titans were involved in the passing game quite a bit last year. How is Jacob Warren maybe taking that next step?
Yeah, I just think fundamentally he's continued to grow. That room's continued to grow. Coach Abe's done a phenomenal job. It's in the core pass protection run game, and it's out on the perimeter, being involved in the pass game, understanding leverage, being more disciplined in playing with better technique and some of their route running. Those guys have all functioned. Jacob has functioned at a really high level in the pass game.
And lastly, did Joe get you a bobblehead from the Smokies yet?
Yeah, I got a pack of 4 for my 2 kids and my nephew and niece too. Yep.
That's awesome. Did he sign it?
He did not. No. So kids were disappointed in that. Appreciate it, guys.